Hello and good morning, AP students. This is Mr. Nichols' AP 2020 review. And first, quick few things I'd like to say on yesterday's Google form. Thank you guys for responding and getting those turned in. That is going to be on a quiz later this week. And I did mess up. I forgot to have people actually put in their names. So if you turned it in, you get points somehow. Good job for those of you that responded. If you didn't respond, then you're probably not even listening to this video. For today, I know yesterday I said I was going to go over contextualization, and I got sitting down here and I'm like, oh my goodness, these kids haven't even read the documents yet. So the first thing we need to go over today, just some reminders. You guys have 45 minutes on the test. And in that 45 minutes, they are not going to remind you when your time is up. It's going to be the time starts, you see the documents. Like right now, you're going to probably see something like this. You're going to see documents 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to see that, and there's probably going to be somewhere on here where you can start typing up your answer. Or maybe you're going to write it. I'm not exactly sure. We'll know later this month. And then when the time's up, the time's up. They're not going to send you a reminder saying, hey, you got 5 minutes left. It's probably just going to be time's up, time's up. So pay attention. And our time period is from 1200 to 1900. So if you got those questions wrong yesterday on yesterday's Google form, pay attention. We're going to go back over this week. For today's assignment, first thing we need to do, make sure that you have this document right here pulled up. It's in Google Classroom. Go in there, find it. Next thing you need to do is go to Google, the internet here, set up a timer, just a stopwatch, so that you can time yourself. You got 45 minutes. That means you're going to have about 10 or 15 minutes to read the documents. So for today, we need to start practicing just like we would right then. So you need to turn off your music, turn off any games, take your phone, go put it in a different room. You don't want some ding going off and it affecting you in the day of the test. So I know that sounds crazy and some of you may not even do that or whatever, but if it's me and I'm you, I would take that phone and I would go put it somewhere else. You can live for 45 minutes of your life without a phone. So with all that being said, we're going to say that you have your timer, you've got your railroads documents pulled up. If you need to pause the video, do so. First thing you want to do when you get that question pulled up is you're actually going to want to read the question. I have it highlighted right here on my screen. Evaluate the extent to which railroads affected the process of empire building in Afro-Eurasia between 1860 and 1918. First off, it's about railroads. So if it's about railroads and it's about how the railroads affected empire building, before I read any more documents, I'm just going to write down a few comments about that right now. Number 1, railroads affected the process of empire building because they moved troops quicker. They moved supplies quicker. That's how they affect empires. They demonstrate power. If you have a big, huge railroad, you're able to control different areas, and you're basically able to show everybody else that, hey, I'm super awesome, and you're not so awesome. And last thing that entered my mind about this is it's going to be able to increase your economic abilities. So I've not even read the documents, but already I've got some idea of how railroads affect the process of empire building between this time period. If I look at that time period, it's extremely important because what was going on in the world in that time period? Well, number 1, industrialization. We know that. It's got railroads in it. And number 2, imperialism. It's not just in Europe, but it's across the world, in Africa and in Europe and in Asia, Afro-Eurasia. What's going on? You've got imperialism. What is that? That's countries controlling other countries. And so that's where we're going to get started. The first thing you need to do, read the question, analyze the question. All right, step 2. Now that I've read the question and I know what it's going to be about, I would suggest you guys getting out a piece of paper so that you can, as you read the documents, take a few notes. And what I'd like for you guys to do is read the document and really just sum it up in a sentence if you can. Read the document, try to sum it up in a sentence. Try to take a few notes about that document. I'm not looking for extensive stuff. And so for right now, I want you guys to just pause the video and go read the documents and time yourself. So just go to your timer, click the start button, and then go to read the documents. Take your notes on them. Try to sum it up in a sentence. And then when you get done, put down what time you got. My time was around 13 minutes and 1 second. And so on my notes, I'm going to put 13 minutes and 1 second. And then I'm going to let you guys, I'm going to have a picture in my Google Classroom here of my notes that I took. Please don't use mine. You need to be able to make your own. I won't show mine till tomorrow in the Google Classroom just in case somebody's going to try to cheat. Don't do that. That's stupid. So pause the video and go read the documents and sum them up. Okay, now that you guys have read the documents and have summed them up, let's go over them real fast. Number 1, document 1 is obviously a petition. It's written by who? Indians. What kind of Indian people? High caste Indians. That is going to be important when we talk about sourcing later, but this isn't just Indians. These are high caste Indians. These are people that are used to be treated a certain way. And basically what they're doing is they're writing to the British colonial government, and they're basically complaining that they aren't allowed into first class. They're being treated differently than everybody else. And some key things that you want to recognize here is, number 1, they're comparing it to the Middle Passage. What is that? That is a reference to slavery and how slaves were transferred from Africa to the Americas. And obviously these people aren't getting treated that badly, but that's how they feel. And I think that's important. You understand how these people feel. It's not that they're really getting killed or raped or brutalized, but they are feeling that way socially. And they talk about right down here being struck, treated with indignity, that they're in a second-class area. They're being crowded. All throughout this, it's basically talking about how that they feel like they are being mistreated. So what is that creating? Number 1, it's creating resentment among imperialized peoples. And I'm going to come back to that. But we've kind of summed it up. It's a high caste Indians complaining that they're not allowed into first class, and we've mentioned some specifics. Number 2, let's go down to document 2, and we see it is a Qing official, and he's basically saying in this, don't build railroads until we can guarantee that they're going to not go through arable fields, houses, and ancestral graves. So he's worried that the British, or that he's worried that the Europeans are going to come in and ruin and harm the country. China needs to be responsible, and they need to make sure that their interests are going to be guaranteed. And their interests are their ancestors. Their interests are their homes and their fields, their livelihood. And we don't want some outsiders coming in and messing that up. So he's not necessarily completely against it, but he's worried that the Europeans don't have their best interest in mind. How is that? That's a little bit of resentment. He's basically saying, I don't think these people have my best interest in mind, and I kind of relate it to document number 1 in the fact that it has a little bit of resentment, or maybe hidden resentment, you might say. We went over document 2. Document 3, what do we have? We have an Ottoman report, and basically it's saying we need to build a railway to help protect Muslim pilgrims. Right now they have to use our enemies' ships. Why is this going to be beneficial for the Ottomans? It's going to help demonstrate power and prestige, something we talked about when we talked about railroads and the effect that railroads can have. We want people to see our political and economic influence. We want to be able to demonstrate our power. We want to unite the Muslim world. He talks about he wants to show the power of the caliph. The Ottoman Empire views itself as, again, all Muslims look to our caliph, our caliphate, our Muslim country, and he's wanting to basically demonstrate their power, and we don't want to trust in Europeans, trust in these other people, because obviously we're being humiliated, and it's a very arduous journey. Why is that important? Some outside information here that's not mentioned. Well, we know that the Ottomans is the sick man of Europe, and they are declining in power, and they're losing land. They're losing control of land and power in Europe. Maybe we would go look some information up about that before we continue on if you can't remember. Moving on, document 4. We have a map, and again, I don't know if you guys were paying attention to some of those videos yesterday and some of the information being put out there, but in your 5 documents, there is going to be one document. They could possibly put in more, but right now they're just saying they're going to put in one document that is non-text. What could that be? It could be a map. It could be a graph. It could be a chart. It could be a picture. So this is an example of a non-text document. What is this document showing us? Well, it's showing us the continent of Africa. How do I know that's the continent of Africa? Hello, it says Africa right there and Africa right there. If you didn't have those pieces, well, you can also know it because it talks about the Congo, it talks about Egypt, it talks about Cape Town, Dar al-Islam right here. We have the Red Sea right here. This is why geography is important, if you didn't have those words in there. But basically, what is this document showing us? Well, it's showing us a proposal to connect Africa from Cairo to South Africa so that they can control the continent, control its goods and peoples, and project power. Does it say that? No. But again, we know that if you're going through all that area, they don't have a railroad. Like right here, they don't control this land. So are they going to have to go in there and control the continent? Yes. That's where you explain that out. Why are they wanting control of this? Well, obviously they're going to need it for economic gain. So you mentioned something about that. Or it could be for projecting power. So again, that's why I put both of those in that sentence describing it. And some important information right here for sourcing possibly is this one. We have Cecil Rhodes. Is he writing this for a specific reason and purpose? Yes, he could be the guy pushing this. Look up here at the top. It's a Rhodes proposal, and it was put in this newspaper. It was obviously never built, but there you go. Document 5. We have an Englishman writing about the Trans-Siberian Railroad, which is where? In Russia. You should know that from Siberia, but I only got a few minutes left, so I'm going to stop the video right here.